Okay, guys, I just did a video about this. Literally, I tried to do this, but the audio was just too much, very much like it was too quiet, so I had to do it over again. So, anyways, let's start off with Panzer IV, shot barreled howitzer, Beecher. I think that this thing was decent. It had a strong high explosive charge. It was very much lacking in the tank versus tank combat, but tank versus tank was not what this thing was designed for. The Panzer 30 was designed for tank versus tank, so yeah. But let's say that the tank does pop up. For most of the time, the Panzer 4 could deal with it thanks to its Panzer Granate around, but yeah, it was not the best. But considering that it was just an armored fighting vehicle that was meant to support infantry attack, it was not so bad. It was really not bad. It was not the best again. It could have had better anti capabilities. Like, really, this is just proof that the longer barrel 75 mm is a proof of that. But considering that again, it is a most oh my god, I should probably stop. Okay, it's better. Panzer 3. Panzer 3 was a tank that saw combat from. It basically was discontinued like late 1943, early 1944, but not for the most part. Some variants were still produced. But it was very decent. Its 50 millimeter long barrel cannon was very good at dealing with a lot of stuff, like the M variant. It could deal a lot of damage to tanks, like it could penetrate a lot of tanks. The armor of the Panda 3 was not the best, but considering that it was a glass cannon, but there is no beating around the bush, it was bad armor, bad protection. Especially when the T-34s started pulling up on the eastern front. It was not the best, but Panzer 3 earns its spotted beach here because, like, why would they even put it higher than the 76 millimeter shot barreled Panzer 4? Because, yeah, there's no reason. It was better to tank versus tank, but tanks are not just for tank versus tank. They're meant to blow stuff up as well. So a tank that specializes in something, another tank that specializes in another thing. Yeah, I don't think they can like be the best, but now okay, now it's talking Panzer 4, long battle. The long battle Panzer 4 was a Panzer, was one of the original Panzers, like it was an upgraded Panzer 4 from F2 forward. I was from F2 move forward, and it started off with a 43 KWK 43, and it could do a lot of stuff. It had the long range. It could penetrate a lot of the front armor of many Allied tanks, like the Western Allies did not stand a chance. The Soviets also did not stand a chance earlier on, but the Soviets did have the front, at least for the front armor, because the Panzer IV was very squishy in question of the armor, because the armor was not the best. It was only 50 when the G model started and later become 80 millimeters. But it was still not enough. The 75 millimeter Sherman could easily penetrate its armor, even with 80 millimeters. Even it was one of the most common tanks of the war. It was not necessarily the workhorse. That's what many people think, but it was not the workhorse of the Wehrmacht. Wehrmacht. How the hell do you say Wehrmacht? I think that the Wehrmacht. You're right there, Wehrmacht. The Wehrmacht. Anyways, just the German army fielded about 8,400 basically, around that number of Panzer IVs. and they were decent. They were a little upgraded to a longer 75 millimeter cannon. It could penetrate more armor. It was decent. It was not the best, but not bad either. It was literally way. It was better than the 70 version, I think. Panther, the Panther, Panther. Panther was just a disappointing thing. I am gonna put it at 8 here, but let's say that the Panther was not the Panzer 5 Panther tank. Panther. The Panther was not necessarily the best tank of the war. It had some shortcomings, like final drive literally died. It did not. It could not stand the vehicle. I don't know why, but it just broke down all the time. The transmission, especially on the earlier models like the Osram A and Osram D, it it really didn't. It just died all the time. The the earlier models also had the problem of the shock trap below the gun, where if you shot below the gun, the shell could be strapped on the on top of the vehicle, literally below the gun cheeks. So that's a problem, but the Astron G did fix that by adding the uh, chiseled gun cheek, or gun metal. I don't know. I think it's gun metal, but yeah, it was a decent gun for what it was a decent tank. It was fast, but somehow faster than the Panzer IV. It was faster than the Panzer IV. It had more armor and a longer gun that could penetrate more armor, but it was a bit over engineered. Like it was complex. They because the tank was a bit heavy, they had to put interleave road wheels on each side. So yeah, it was not the best to fix this thing. If let's say that a front inner road wheel got damaged, you had to remove the outer road wheel to get sometimes multiple outer road wheels to get the inner road wheel, which just sucks. But other than that, the front arm of the Panther was very thick. It didn't have really much of side armor was not the best. The rear armor was also very lacking, but they had to make it like that because otherwise the tank would be so heavy. It would be too heavy, like really heavy, and it would just die even more than it really did because of transmission and so other problems. It was very unreliable. But it looked like the T-34, the Sherman right here, which was very reliable, very easy to produce. Hence why they were producing like thousand upon thousands, 50,000 for the Sherman and 80 for like more than 80,000 for the 34 of all types. So yeah, it was very sad. King, no, never mind. No, I think I'm talking about the first Tiger first. Okay, Tiger One, Acer. No, Acer. It was a tank that had. Okay, you guys are gonna kill me because I did not see it. Put this on ST, right? Oh my god, please don't. Okay. I'm just gonna say that the Tiger one was not the best out of the best thing of the war. Not even the Tiger 2 was. I really do not have a concrete opinion on which was the best take of the war. The Tiger one might be up there, but it was like even worse than a Panther in the case of Panther in the case of uh, even worse than a Panther in the case of like transmission. It had been upgraded to a later engine, but the engine was better. It did stop a lot of drive of engine problems, like the engine literally just dying. And the Tiger was forced to abandon the vehicle. But yeah, it was just a bit sad. Now talking about the other stuff was great. The mobility was very lacking, but the armor was obviously very good. So most tanks later on could penetrate the front armor of the Tiger, despite what many people think. So like the 245, the 76 millimeter, the Sherman Firefly, and others could delete the Tiger one in one shot, but that was not 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 by far the most, because most Shermans were 75 millimeter even at the end of the war. But if Firefly does show up, you just screwed. If you are if you don't see it, you're just gonna die, which is sad, but still. The 88 millimeter on the Tiger was very good. It was never necessarily outclassed or came off of style, but never really went off. Really never went off to become obsolete. So it was very good. It had long range. It was very strong. The usual things that Tigers know for is blowing up tanks. But the HE was not the best, but that's why you have the other tanks like howitzer or something. Artillery is there for explosive stuff as well, but yeah, Tiger I don't think it's quite as tier. King Tiger not even no. Even worse. I'm not putting you S tier as well. King Tiger, basically a Tiger beefed up to 11. It was a Tiger that had uh, a lot of armor, like 200 millimeters. Even I think it was even more than 200 millimeters at the front. Like because it was sloped armor was is very strong. There's a reason why it's still used today. And yeah, this thing, the 88 millimeter was insane on this thing because it was even better than the Tiger one. But if you consider again the transmission, the engine, the final drive issues, this thing just couldn't reach the front line for the sake of it. Just couldn't reach the front lines. Even if it did, it was so slow that it was easily targetable by artillery and uh, and also aircraft. Aircraft could just deploy a 500-pound bomb on top of it, and it would just explode. That is not what you can do about if you imagine. You are at the Tiger 2, a tank that was very slow. I, I think like it could move at 12. It was 12 miles kilometers per hour, which is just bad. But and then a pesky little allied airplane drops a bomb on top of you. You just dead. There's no way you can just get alive with that. You know, just dead. That's it. But from there is reason why this thing was called King Tiger by the Americans, because it did make a big impact when it actually pull up over a tiny hill. It it did pull up, and it actually was very good when it did pull up. Besides the fact that allies had strategic artillery and the better and air superiority, like it was very good, very good tank. I don't think it was the best one, but yeah. Oh my god, I still Soviet bias right here. Yes, that's just kidding. I'm Brazilian, so I do not care about Soviet or American or German. I'm not patriotic towards those. So I assume it was very strong. It had a strong front armor, a very strong cannon that had a ridiculously the HE on the ice shield was just stupidly ridiculous. Like really, it was so insane that it could explode like the front armor of a lot of tanks with just the HE alone. But what happens if you miss a target, or like if you miss of if you like get couch your pants down, like you get multiple targets on a way. Let's say a lot of infantry, and a lot of infantry, or two tanks. You're over. It's just over. We done. There is only one loader, and the shells were just so big that the loader had to load them first the cartridge. No, the shell first, and the cartridge to blast the the shell out. It took a long time, like a very long time. I don't know exactly how much time it took, but it was very long time. I don't know how to pin down exactly, but yeah. This thing was not necessarily the best. It had some flaws, just like every other tank. But its flaws were actually very apparent. It apparent because yeah, slow reload is just painful. Anyways, let's say that this tank was just decent. It was fast. It was somehow it was like I think like way more lighter than a tiger, even a tiger. Like maybe even a panther, it was lighter than a panther. Somehow, despite having despite being the front armor of a of a heavy tank and the armor of and the main armament of a heavy as well. KV1. KV1 disappointment. This thing was very good. It had for the start of war. It was invisible practically. It could just it literally had it could show off a lot. It could just like tank a lot of shells to the chest and say, "Is that all is that all you got? Is that all you got? Really?" Yeah, it is all we got. We only have Panzer 4 with short barrels and short barrel 50 millimeter on the Panzer 4, Panzer 3. So yeah, it's a pretty sad. But for the Germans actually big. But when the Germans started developing more on the on long barrel tanks and field guns as well and self-propelled guns, the KV1 started to suffer because it just couldn't keep up. It just did not have the armor now. The gun was the same as the T-34, so over time it was lacking. It was very unlike the T-34. It was very slow. It had engine problems, reliability problems. So I cannot say much. So I think I'm gonna put you at C tier, but because of those problems. S2 was definitely upgrade. Same with the T-34. 76 millimeter. If you look closely, 76 millimeter. It was good from 41 to 42, but if you take close attention, the T-34 76 was just when there were more tigers and panthers decided to show up. The T-34 76 struggled because even though they had the 76 millimeter, T-34 was just pumped out like very much. It had a lots lots of T-34 were produced. Ironically, most of the T-35 that they produced were T-35s, but I think that's because both were. But yeah, the T-76 very strong early one, very lacking later one. Now we are talking 32, 34, 85, baby. Very fast, very strong. Had a good armor. It could penetrate pretty much any of the main battle tanks besides the King Tiger. It was good. It was very good. It was very good, but again, not S tier because then that would be biased for me. It was a good tank. That I can say that. The gun could actually deal with a target this time, unlike the 76 millimeter, but it like from 1,000 meters, it could penetrate the front armor of a tiger. The tiger could delete a T-45 from far away, but further away. But at least that's a chance that the T-45 got. The Panther wasn't like the best matchup for a T-45, but when hypervelocity shells were introduced. All changed when like when that happened because now the T-34-5 could simply punch through the very thick frontal arm of a Panther. Very good. So yeah, 52 kilometers per hour. I think it's 54, right? Yeah, 54. Around 50 to 54. Around that. Kilometers per hour at max speed. Very good. Oh my god, I'm gonna be biased towards this one. 76 millimeter Sherman. No, 70, yeah, 76, but Firefly. The 70 powder. This thing there's a reason what this thing was created. It was there to simply destroy, absolutely make Tiger crews believe in constant fear of this thing. Because Tigers could not stand a chance. They could because they had an 88mm gun, but if they do not see a Sherman firefight, they're just dead. It was I thought it should even be. They should be even here because it take this story, but I decided to include it anyway because otherwise America would have nothing. Like 76mm. It was good, but it could penetrate the front arm of a tiger. But come on, dude. How am I comparing that to the Firefly, which could delete anything, even a King Tiger with the APDS shell? That never happened, unfortunately. That never happened. The PDS shell was never fired from a Sherman Firefly, or even the 70-pounder gun into the front arm of the King Tiger because the King Tiger was very rare. But you get it. If you saw one of those, you could just roll the PDS and blast it into oblivion. But anyways, it was very good vehicle. The 76mm on the Sherman, but it did have a lot of problems with infantry because infantry it did not have a whole machine gunner, HE rounds were lacking, and HE was very important because that's what you fire the most. But oh my god, I'm gonna be controversial. Fury, Bowser's Fury, I think Fury, not Fury. Yeah, the 76mm Sherman was just sad, bro. Very sad. Because it could deal with the Tiger, but the Panther was still could I think it could still shrug off the 76mm unless at very close range. And like the 76mm shell was really not the best. It didn't there was no tanks around for the Americans at the time, so that sucks. If it had, it could definitely be better. I mean, it had later on post war when the Americans went to the Korea War, the Sherman actually had got tanks around and it was just ridiculously strong. But in the World War II, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so really. But yeah, sad. It even when you're not fighting the tanks, this thing is just bad because I'm tempted to put this at D tier, but I can't. I'm gonna get bullied if I do this, but anyways. And the 17mm was probably the worst. It was the worst to blow stuff up. The 76mm was the best tank in terms of like blowing stuff up and being available, but the best tank in best gun the Americans had to blow stuff up was the 105mm howitzer on that could be planted on the Sherman as well. Infantry loved that, but the 76mm Sherman was lacking. Even more than the regular Sherman because it couldn't blow stuff up. Yes, the Sherman was lacking at armor penetration, but like, come on. Most rounds that were fired by American tank crews, even the 76mm were HE. So not having a good HE is just terrible. It's a thing we see to this day, but yeah. I think the Sherman, the 75mm Sherman was better, but yeah, I think it depends actually depends. I put you at B tier. I don't think you deserve to be on with the KV1 and T34 Because it really depends. If you need a better gun to kill tigers, you have it. If you need a gun to explode stuff up, you have it. So whatever. This is my list, guys. Kill me if you need it. Need to. Anyways, bye. See you next time.